Hello, this is Africa TV. Many thanks for joining us. I am Amadou Kante, and now the news in detail. Now, the Gambia Police Force have expressed concern over safety of lives due to road accidents in the country. Spokesperson of the Gambia Police Force made this pronouncement as part of regular update on security matters, and several factors leading to the tragic accidents are enumerated by the traffic safety officials at the police headquarters in Banjul. And we have more details of that in this report by Binti Jallo.
Superintendent Lamin Jai of the Gambia Police Force noted that the daily road traffic accident is a major concern for law enforcement officials. Although the mobile traffic police is at work towards the tasks before them, the services of the Accident Investigation Department are increasingly being demanded. From the bits and pieces of road traffic cases, Police spokesman Superintendent Njai highlighted the common causes of accidents on records.
The causes of road traffic accidents are numerous, and they range from mechanical factors. They range from some other causes might be relating to the road condition, congestion, and all that. And sometimes the driver factor as well. That's the human factor. Also contributes a lot to road traffic accidents. But most importantly, when we conduct findings in accident investigations, the prevalent cause of road traffic accidents in the Gambia has to do with speeding. A lot of times we realize that drivers speed a lot in the Gambia. The highway code is such that there is a speed limit at certain residential areas, especially residential areas. There is a particular speed limit that drivers need to observe.
He blamed drivers for not adhering to traffic rules as one of the leading factors road accidents in the Gambia, on premise that a lot could be done to save lives on the roads. The police is of the view that the increase of speed bumps might be one of the best options. With any form of infrastructural intervention, drivers must still respect the laws governing traffic, according to Superintendent Njai.
If driver drives according to the speed limits, especially of residential areas, I'm not saying there will be no accidents, but even if there are accidents, the impact will be very minimal. We will not be seeing the fatal accidents that we see sometimes as a result of the speeding that drivers do.
The Gambia Police has an eye over the usage of drugs by those behind the steering wheel. A warning is therefore being sent to this group of drivers.
We want to caution people to understand that they cannot drive vehicles when they are drunk. It is against the laws of the country. The Road Traffic Act and Regulation are against that. And so people who find themselves in bars and clubs and pubs and so on, they need to be cautious. If they know they are too drunk to drive, they should allow somebody else, competent driver for that matter, to drive them home safely and not take the risk of being drunk and driving. And so that is definitely something we want to tell people. And as you mentioned, because the speed issue is a very critical aspect of accidents. And there is high likelihood that if you are drunk, you may not be able to control the speed of the vehicle.
Globally, road traffic cases are known for their contribution towards considerable economic losses to individuals, families, and nations. The loss in this nature is traced from the cost of treatment as well as loss of productivity for those killed and disabled due to accidents and for family members who need to take time off work to care for the injured. It is estimated that road traffic crashes cost most countries up to 3% of their gross domestic product. More than 90% of road traffic death occurs in low and middle income countries. Even within high income countries, people from lower socio-economic backgrounds are more likely to be involved in road traffic crashes. For iAfrica News, Binta Yalo.
The Gambia Police Force, of course, expressing concern over the increasing road traffic accidents in the country. Next to Ghana we go. Ghanaian motorists have expressed concern over the sudden rise in fuel price. The new price came following the introduction of some taxes on petroleum products and the rise in prices of basic commodities in the international market. Analysts fear that the increase in fuel prices will slow down the economic recovery of the country ravaged by the global pandemic. Let's have more details of that in this report.
Filling up in Ghana has become an expensive activity. Motorists are feeling the pinch after the latest rise in the cost of petrol and diesel, which has already gone up several times this year.
I run on Uber. I'm a public service person, and the fuel is really affecting us. We are not getting anything out of what we do.
We drivers, we are suffering.
I had to increase the cost of hiring my truck due to the increment in fuel prices. But people are complaining it's expensive and don't want to hire the truck.
A litre of petrol is now selling at $1.07, up from 81 cents in January. Analysts attribute the hike to depreciation of the local currency, the cedi, against the US dollar, the fluctuation in global fuel prices, and taxes introduced by the government. The increase in fuel prices is already trickling down to other sectors of the economy. In this market, the cost of groceries has also shot up. Analysts say the higher cost of fuel could slow down the country's economic recovery.
It's going to be difficult. Once we see some of these prices going up, businesses can get to even fold up because then maybe their cost of doing business also goes up. And in that case, then you have the negative rippling effect affecting the household, salary slashed, or maybe people laid off at the end of the day. So I think these are the negative change that happens when we see fuel price going up.
Energy experts say the cost of fuel could continue to go up if the government doesn't step in.
In the immediate circumstance, today, tomorrow, go and reduce the taxes. Because world market prices cannot be going up. And you are also collecting everything from us at the same time. That's a double slap. Once you are able to reduce the taxes, then you can come and look at the short to medium. Get the refinery to work.
For now, though, the government is not considering a reduction in taxes on petroleum products, so the road ahead for consumers could remain a costly one.
And from the report there in Accra, Ghana, next to Uganda, because Uganda nationals are taking advantage of a newly initiated telemedicine program to access medical care due to the limited movement of people thanks to the COVID-19 global pandemic. The new healthcare delivery availed patients the opportunity to communicate with their doctors via phone calls or on social media platforms in response to their concerns. Telemedicine is gaining momentum in this African country, which have allowed doctors to deal with their patients' healthcare concerns without direct contact. Let's have more of that in this report.
Letitia Iguma has been under lockdown. She spends most of her time at home. That's left her worrying about how she'd access a doctor if she needed a checkup.
Right now, there's so much that's going on, and more we are getting away from physical contact. And so, apart from the cases where we really need to get to a doctor physically, I think for these other cases, we should be able to embrace this new technology.
That's where telemedicine is increasingly stepping in.
Hello, this is Dr. Pamela from Rocket Health.
The service helps patients contact medical personnel who can immediately diagnose and recommend treatment through telephone calls or messages on internet platforms and apps.
Telemedicine is a different module of healthcare delivery. So for it bases on the fact that patients can get healthcare services remotely. So that means that they don't need to be in the same place as the doctors.
This private health service has seen a huge increase in clients over the past year. That's partly been because of the growth of medical insurance schemes in the country. The doctors here receive hundreds of calls every day. The interaction with patients has mostly been on COVID-19 related issues. Moving away from the face-to-face consultations, the doctors say is keeping them and their patients safe. Telemedicine is a major shift in Uganda's healthcare service. According to the World Health Organization statistics, there is one doctor for every 25,000 patients in Uganda. It's a gap the technology could potentially reduce. And it could also lead to cheaper access to health services for patients.
Routinely, people would get medical consultations at physical clinic at prices above 25,000 or $6 to $10. What we've done is through our teleconsultations, people can get consultations with a doctor for as low as $3 and sometimes even cheaper. And this is from the comfort of your home. So more people have been able to access a doctor, which they would not be able to do previously.
But roadblocks exist for online-based services. Uganda recently imposed the 12% tax on internet data, making access more costly.
It means that fewer people may be able to benefit from technology-enabled or internet-enabled healthcare services, which is a shame. Also, there's the challenge of internet connectivity. That is improving over time. However, there are still also regions and parts of countries where you do not have stable broadband or other internet connectivity, which allows for things like telemedicine.
But as more people get online in Uganda, combined with the restrictions due to the pandemic, telemedicine is likely to play an important role in the country's future healthcare provisions.
And from the reporter in Kampala, Uganda, we will now take a break and come back shortly with the remainder of the story. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
The pride we take in our brand, the work we put into constantly change the landscape and elevate real estate in the Gambia, it's compared to none. From inception, our goal was to add value to the beautiful Gambian landscape. That's why we are proud innovators of community estates. Kololi Sands is an exceptional piece of work, tailored for ultimate convenience and luxury, to bring you an element of finesse that is rare but unique in its own. This is also our pride and joy, and we welcome you to the exquisite beauty right here in Kololi and right here on the waterfront. Kololi Sands, feel the ocean breeze at your doorstep.
Africa TV, once again, many thanks for joining us. Now, the CDS ends the second week of his nationwide military tour at Fajar Barracks, where security personnel displayed various tactical moves to welcome the country's top army chief. These activities include riot control, VIP protection, displaying of weapons, among other activities. Details of the CDS visit to the Fajar Barracks in this report.
The Chief of Defense Staff of the Gambia Armed Forces has on Friday ended the week at the Guards Battalion and the Gambia Armed Forces Training School in Fajara Barracks, where he was welcomed by delegates from schools, local government officials, and men and women in uniform in a colorful ceremony. The activities began with a display of different types of weapons, including the anti-aircraft gun and other weapons, on how, when, and where to use them. The Gambia is regarded as one of the best countries in terms of parade display. Meanwhile, the CDS was honored with a drill as the men and women in uniform showcased their ceremonial parade skills with their matching outfits. Still on the activities that occurred at the Guards Battalion include riot control by armed personnel in amicably addressing chaotic scenes. The demonstration relays how security personnel should handle angry mobs or protesters in a less tense way, signifying that there should be no unnecessary assault against protesters. Part of the mandate of the security apparatus is to save lives, and the VIP protection display demonstrated how to protect individuals under command whenever they are under attack in public. The demonstration shows the loyalty and safety of the leader is the first priority as far as the security force is concerned. The activities ended with a tug-of-war competition among the men and women of the Guards Battalion. However, the women's team beat the men on both sides of the rope, earning them a trophy as presented to the women team leader by the Chief of Defense Staff Yakuba A. Drame. His visit to the Guards Battalion and the Guards Training School in Fajara ended with his meeting with the troops, as done in all military camps he visited. The tour continues on Monday, where the CDS and his delegation will visit the Gambia Navy in Banjul. Reporting for iAfrica News, I am Daisy.
Our very own Daisy reporting there as the Camp CDS ends his military tour at the Fajara barracks. Finally, in this news edition, to Kenya next, because in the midst of the global health crisis, Kenya have witnessed a drastic rise in teenage pregnancies. According to the African Institute for Development Policy, an estimated 152,000 teenage girls became pregnant in Kenya in 2020 alone. But critics have, however, blamed the situation on lack of knowledge about sexual and reproductive health issues. Let's have more of that in this report.
An ordinary weekly assembly. Only that some of the attendees at Kathama Primary School in Kenya's Kilifi County are not your ordinary peoples. They're soon to be mothers, others already mothers. 17-year-old Pamela Menza is one of them.
I got pregnant in June last year. I conceived when the pandemic hit. I gave birth and came back to school. I almost gave up coming back to school. My mother supported my return. In this situation, I only get to do my homework on Saturday and Sunday. At some point, I was demoralized after the return because I failed the exams, but my mother was my greatest supporter.
That much needed support, though, comes at a price. Every day, Pamela has to cut short her classes, rush home to breastfeed her baby. She also has to take care of her younger siblings, then return for the afternoon classes. Pamela's mother, Priscilla Mongo, knows it's not easy, but she's keen to see her daughter get an education.
My daughter got pregnant at grade 7. She was 16 years old. I was so sad. I questioned myself how she would turn out to be. But after consulting and also talking to her, I got the help and my daughter is now back to school.
Already, Kenya has acknowledged teenage pregnancy as a major challenge. In 2020, during the 3 months of lockdown, 152,000 teenage girls became pregnant, a 40% increase in the country's monthly average. Kilifi was one of the worst affected, with a 22% increase of teenage pregnancies. A lack of knowledge about sexual health and family planning are some of the factors blamed for the worrying figures. During our visit at Kathama Primary School, we spotted this girl. She wasn't comfortable to tell her story on camera, but she too is pregnant. Teachers here say due to stigma, many girls will hide the pregnancy. Others end up dropping out of school and get married. At just 16, Elena Mwalimu is a single mother. When she got pregnant, she dropped out of school and got married. But her young husband took off, leaving her with no option but to fend for her baby.
My parents were against my return to school. I apologized and went back. The challenges were many. I had to walk long distances to and from school. I came here to work due to the long, tough situation. I had to cater for the baby and my siblings because at the moment I have no work.
Elena, though, remains hopeful that the future could be anything including brighter. She wants to go back to school. For now, though, feeding her baby is a priority. Societal pressure has pushed them back to school, back to the drawing board, hoping that one day they'll use this as a catapult to improve their lives. Right now, all they need is just the papers for them to progress carefully, and of course this time around with a lot of caution in their lives.
Well, what an unfortunate situation there as teenage pregnancies increased in Kenya due to the lack of knowledge on sexual and reproductive, of course, systems or, acts in the country. With that report there, we finally bring this news edition to an end. But for more details on this and other studies, as always, as ever, you can visit on our website on iafrica.tv. But for now, though, many thanks for the pleasure of your company. Thanks for watching. Stay safe and bye for now.